everyone, it's Sarah from Sassy Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I read in 2018. So, let's talk about some great books that okay, in the month of June, I read so many 5-star books. It was, I think, my best reading month because I just was like swimming in like 5-star reads, and it was a fun time. So, let's talk about some of those 5-star reads. First up, let's talk about an underrated gem, The Mermaid by Christina Henry. Okay, this book follows a mermaid who swims in the oceans. She enjoys her freedom, and then one day a fisherman's net catches her, and she looks into his eyes. Keep in mind, these mermaids are not pretty. I just want you to realize that. This isn't the Little Mermaid. This is an ugly creature who doesn't look cute, and he's like looking into her eyes, and he's like, I'm in love, and then he's like, I'm gonna bring you back into the ocean. And so she swims, and she swims, and then she like crawls up out of the ocean, and it feels like glass is breaking inside of her because she's not supposed to be out of the ocean. And she starts a life with this fisherman named Jack, and then one day, this all happens in the first couple of pages, so I'm not really spoiling anything. Then one day, he goes off into the ocean, and he doesn't come back. And the ocean that once was her home has taken the love of her life. This book is so depressing. It's so heartbreaking. It's so much. Okay, and so like, now we have this mermaid who's living on land without the love of her life, and for a couple years she's okay. Her name is Amelia. And eventually, however, rumors are heard about her existence, about the woman who never ages, and P.T. Barnum, yes, that P.T. Barnum, ends up sending a representative to get her to pretend to play a fake mermaid. He wanted her to like get into like a tail costume because he didn't actually believe that she was a mermaid. Surprise, she really is a mermaid. And then we go on this incredibly complex power struggle between Amelia the mermaid and P.T. Barnum, who is, you know, obsessed with making money and power. And so he steps on people. The way that he treats his family is horrible. I loved his family, and I loved how Amelia interacted with them. I just love this book so much, you guys. I have a review for this linked down below. I got an ARC of this by the Penguin First to Read program, and something made me like request it. I looked at that cover and I was like, oh, that's a beautiful cover. And I saw Christina Henry and I was like, oh, I've heard of her before. I've heard her retellings are fantastic. Let me just request it. I did not realize that I was going to encounter a 5-star mermaid book. Like, I know it won't be loved by everybody, and that's okay. So go read my review and see if it's something that interests you, because it's one of those things that people are not going to like, but it's historical, so like it's grounded in like historical events that happened. Like P.T. Barnum really did like have, what was it called? It's like the Fiji mermaid, I think. I talked about it in my review. Yeah, like the Fiji mermaid was like a real like plot that P.T. Barnum had like a hoax of. So like it's kind of based on that, but it's like with the concept of what if the mermaid actually existed, and that ugly thing that was in that cage with like the monkey and the fish tails tied to it was like actually real. Y'all, I loved this book so much. It was beautiful, it was groundbreaking, it hurt my heart, it's so feminist, it has some of the best lines. I love it. Go read The Mermaid, because I feel like people are not reading it, and I need people to read it because it's so good, and it's like the most underrated book I've read all year, and it needs more love. Okay, next, now that I'm done like squealing, let me squeal about an audiobook that I listened to. I listened to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, narrated by Michael York. This narration was... Okay, so like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a famous story. You know, we follow the Pevensies, who are 4 children, and they are in the midst of World War II, and they end up being taken in by a scientist and they are playing a game of hide and seek when the youngest, Lucy, ends up finding a wardrobe that takes her to a different world called Narnia, where she encounters a faun named Mr. Tumnus, and then they all wind up in Narnia, and there's Aslan and the White Queen, and it's so good, you guys. It's such a fun narrating experience to listen to, but like, the book is fantastic. C.S. Lewis is brilliant. This story is so magical. I never read the book when I was little, so like, I don't have a nostalgic pull towards it. I love the movie, of course, but like, not like a nostalgic pull towards the actual book itself, because this is my first time reading it. But you guys, I loved it. Okay, and also, like, as a practicing Christian, like, comparing Aslan to Christ is really fun for me, and I was geeking out while listening, even though, like, I was also, like, depressed, because I was like, this is what Christ was there on the cross, and then, like, I was crying because I was like, this is Jesus, and then I was crying because I was like, this is Aslan, and I was feeling all kind of feels, but it was good. And also, I love the Pevensies. Like, Lucy and Susan, I love them. They're such strong-willed women, and they give, like, such a great representation to young children about, like, how different strong women are. Because Lucy is very different from Susan, but they're both such strong women, and I love that. Peter, I love him. I think he's, like, you know, macho man, but, like, not in, like, an annoying way, more in, like, a, like, I love you, I want to protect you way. And then Edmund's a little, like, words that I can't use because, but, like, at the same time, like, I love Edmund because I feel like Edmund represents the whole of humanity, because Edmund is, like, the person who spits on Christ and, like, it, like, throws, like, rocks at him and, like, curses him out while he's dangling on the cross. And that's all of us. And so I was like, as much as I don't like Edmund, I am Edmund. And that was a convicting moment. And I just love this book. Okay, let me talk about something else. Another 5-star is also an audiobook. It's Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, narrated by Jason Reynolds. This is not a prose novel. This is a poetry novel about a young boy who is going down an elevator with a gun in his hand, as he has to make the decision whether he is going to use this gun for revenge against the group of people, the gang, that have killed his brother. Jason Reynolds is fantastic. He's a fantastic narrator. This story is so impactful. It's a 60-second story, so keep in mind, each time he goes down an elevator floor, a ghost gets on. Someone who has died, someone who has been affected by gang violence, someone who has found their way into this young man's life. And the moral that all of them are trying to ask him is why do you want to kill this man? And why do you feel the need and the thirst to carry out this revenge? Do you even know why your brother was killed in the first place? Do you even know why revenge is important? Why are you doing this? And it's so impactful because Jason Reynolds, he says at the end that one of the biggest things he wanted to portray was that so many people are affected by gang violence and they don't know why these gangs are feuding with one another. They just get caught up into it, and they're systematically told that it's a way of life, and so they believe it without ever questioning it. And this is Reynolds' way of showing that deeper thought of questioning. It's brilliant. It's prose, so not prose, it's poetry, so it's beautifully told. But Jason Reynolds, it's like listening to slam poetry, and then the story is so impactful and gripping. And it's so short. It's like a 2-hour audiobook, but I listened to it in 45 minutes because I listened to it fast on double speed. And Long Way Down is a fantastic story that you just have to check out, like, hands down. It's short, and you don't really have an excuse because it's Jason Reynolds. It's an important novel about black young men, and it's an important novel about overcoming gang violence and breaking out of the cycle. And it's fantastic. Can't recommend these 3 novels enough. The Mermaid, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Long Way Down. All 5 stars, all novels that you should go read, and I hope that you do. So let me know down below in the comments which novel you're most excited or interested in, And don't forget to subscribe. Bye, and happy reading!